Kathleen Kennedy has had a bad weekend. Not only is she now a South Park character in an episode of the show that addresses what most Kathleen Kennedy YouTube videos talk about, but Gina Carano, the actress who portrayed Cara Dune in The Mandalorian, who was fired a couple of years ago, has taken to Twitter and completely destroyed the head of Lucasfilm. Now, I found an article over on The Direct that really pulls together all the comments made on Twitter into one article for easy reading. So let's go through it, and to be honest, I'm not sure what's worse, the South Park episode or this. Now, The Mandalorian's Cara Dune actress Gina Carano blasted Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy on social media. Following a series of controversial right-wing statements, Carano was fired from her Star Wars role amid reports she was set to lead the planned Rangers of the New Republic spin-off. It's not Rangers of the Old Republic, it's the Rangers of the New Republic. It was a show set during the Mandalorian timeline, and I think that show's now essentially been absorbed into Mando Season 3, Ahsoka, maybe even Skeleton Crew and Mando Season 4, I have to wait and see. Her firing came amid the exit of countless Star Wars creatives under Kathleen Kennedy. These struggles have led to plenty of backlash against the galactic boss and calls for her firing, especially following mixed reactions to the sequel trilogy. And it's not too long ago, is it really, that we heard that Kathleen Kennedy was going to be fired after Indiana Jones 5, or she won't see out the end of the year. Well, we're in November now almost, and she's still kicking around as far as I'm aware. There's no one on the face of this planet that can be fired more times than Kathleen Kennedy. Gina Carano shared a clip on X, formerly Twitter as we all know by now, from a recent South Park episode that made fun of Kathleen Kennedy and jokingly blamed her for the mass backlash to some of Disney and Lucasfilm's latest movies. And now, an element of this, you have to take as truth, because Kathleen Kennedy is the boss at Lucasfilm. She does have the final say in a lot of these big decisions when it comes to casting, characters, stories, the rest of it. So I can understand it, and to be honest with you, it's quite a funny episode. If you haven't watched it, I really do urge you to. Now, The Fire Gested how Kennedy would push for censorship for the hilarious episode and attempt to hide backlash. Now, she goes on to say, this is the part where KK demands any YouTubers get censored off of YouTube for sharing and laughing at this hilarious episode. She'll have YouTube disable the thumbs down option because of the ratio she'll receive. She added how Kennedy would utilize major Hollywood news trades to bombard the South Park creators with hate. Now, this is maybe not too far-fetched. Then she'll have her publicist ghouls make sure Variety and Hollywood Reporter run hit pieces about the South Park creators and their families, smearing their names through every useful idiot she has under her thumb who would sell their soul to work for Lucasfilm. Companies like Disney, Lucasfilm, they have a long history of filtering through information through places like the Hollywood Reporter and probably Variety, the trades, to get information out there without officially releasing it. And this is just a suspicion of mine, but potentially it could be something they've done as recently as Ahsoka with the casting of Hayden Christensen. We knew through the Hollywood Reporter about a year before Ahsoka came out that Hayden was going to be involved in the project. To this day, we've still not had an official announcement from Lucasfilm saying Hayden Christensen is in Ahsoka or some big reveal. He was kind of just dropped in the Force TV spot, and we was kind of left to gather that information for ourselves. So it wouldn't surprise me if Kathleen Kennedy maybe did, pull some backdoor entries into some of the media companies there. So it's very much in the realm of possibility of Kathleen Kennedy deciding to take that route, I guess. Now, Carano added that Kennedy has an online mob who will do her bidding and share whatever message she should wish before going on to seemingly blast recent woke culture and LGBTQIA+ representation. She'll activate her online mob to repeat that the South Park creators are racist, bigot, transphobes, and demands the South Park creators publicly apologise by only using words she approves of. And finally, she'll demand they subject themselves to a re-education course of 45 people in their LGBTQ community Zoom call to sit there and listen of how badly they got their feelings hurt, all over a little boop of a South Park episode. Maybe, just maybe, the jig is up. In a follow-up post on X responding to a follower who stated she had lost her mind with her post, that was from Around the Galaxy podcast, I actually saw that pop up on my timeline, Carano suggested her comments against Kennedy were based on her first-hand experience. Of course, she knows her, she worked within Lucasfilm. Now, do you always call a woman crazy just because she has more first-hand experience than you and say something you don't like or understand? Bit misogynistic, don't you think? For some added context, not just for you, but for the people reading, one of the things your overlords asked me to do was unfollow certain accounts because they said bad things about Kathleen Kennedy. My goodness, how childish can you get? That was a huge red flag for me. Continuing to target Kennedy, Carano noted how the haters Kennedy has allegedly disliked so much may just be passionate and caring fans. If I were the head of one of the most powerful entertainment companies in the world, I would know that haters come with the territory, and that maybe the haters are expressing their force because they actually care, and caring is a good thing because as long as they care, well, hey, we still have something to work with. Maybe we can win their hearts back eventually, and maybe they do have some good things to add to the conversation, which they do and did, and at the very least, they are still buying the product. Look at The Mandalorian Season 1, boom, the healing had begun. And this is a great point. When Season 1 of The Mandalorian came out, it was around the time of The Rise of Skywalker, or just before The Rise of Skywalker potentially, with The Last Jedi being the last Star Wars movie. The Star Wars fandom was in a very shaky place. The Mandalorian came out and it was a solid show. People got behind it, people loved it. Same with The Mandalorian Season 2. So, you know, it does make a difference. If you have a good show that people really get behind, then it can completely change the outlook for a studio such as Lucasfilm. If you're a proper good leader and learn how to embrace and communicate, not dictate in silence and demand your actors and directors unfollow and shame more than half of your fan base and the people that have stuck with a franchise for decades, side note, don't say the Force is female and then allow only the men to express their political views online. In fact, just drop the ridiculous phrase completely, which I have to say I have to agree with. I don't know why anyone would come out and say the Force is female. It's not male, it's not female, it's the Force. It's genderless. It's just completely bizarre that the head of Lucasfilm would want to come out and literally just put it into one gender. It's just why. Carano argued that Kennedy's actions have reduced interest in one of the most beloved franchises ever, and even compared Lucasfilm to the Empire. So this is going to be an interesting opinion. So one of the problems your overlords are having now is that they've made a lot of people completely stop caring about one of the most beloved franchises in history, all by bullying, pushing aggressive agendas, and trying to silence the people criticizing them. How are they able to tell stories they don't understand when the ones they identify with are the Empire? They are literally trying to squash the little guys, the rebellion. No wonder the storytelling is struggling. Now I have to agree, essentially, although Ahsoka was very good and I enjoyed Ahsoka, a running theme with the Star Wars Disney Plus shows is the storytelling side of it not being as strong as it really could be, and not really getting the whole fandom behind that particular story. And I would have to say she's dead on right as well. Interest in Star Wars is not as high as it was. I mean, we'll look at the Ahsoka numbers compared to The Mandalorian, they're struggling. And I guess we just have to hope for the sake of Star Wars if they can knock out some great solid stories, which it looks like they could be turning a corner with the whole Ahsoka series and moving into Filoni's movie Heir to the Empire and what may happen with Baylan on Peridia. Then that could really bring a lot of fans in. Now, she even claimed how Lucasfilm had fired and dehumanized people. They fired and dehumanized people like me who did absolutely nothing wrong, all to virtue signal to people like you, the yes men. But yes men, unfortunately for you and them, do not drive culture. Maybe they were banking on the kids picking up the slack, but one of the best things about this franchise is passing it from generation to share. The competition is too high to throw out something as valuable as that. Why would one generation pass it on when you've disrespected and thrown them away? Now I will say this statement I think will be shared by a lot of Star Wars fans out there, and to be honest, the proof's in the pudding. The numbers for Star Wars in recent years have dwindled compared to The Mandalorian Season 2. The first season of The Mandalorian. Yes, we've had some good shows out there like the Kenobi show in terms of numbers, but even that show's been widely slated since it released. You can get the numbers in if it's a good looking show, if it's an exciting show, if it sounds good, but once the show's out, if people don't like it, you're going to hear about it, and that's what we've heard. So hopefully, as I mentioned earlier, if they focus on storytelling, if they try and get out of the politics and just give us good Star Wars stories, the fans will get behind it, and hopefully we can get back to where we once was. Guys, let me know what you think about this, whatever this is, from Gina Carano to Kathleen Kennedy. Do you agree with it? Do you not? Do you think KK's the problem? Let me know down in the comments below. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'll catch you in the next one. May the Force be with you.